Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am the Pip Messiah, your host for the Quiet Storm live trading session for July the 30th, 2025. Let's get straight to the action. Do have some pre-market action going on. We've got some trades that have popped off. Let's get to reviewing what's gone in so far. Have Euro SEC on the 15-minute. That hit stop loss, so that's invalidated. We have 30-minute, the same thing. Gold versus Australian dollar, also invalidated, hit stop loss. ZS1. All right, this one is good for us. It's going to be a sell to 10024. Uh, 1,002. All right, so this is going to be a short from current price. All right, ZS1 is a feature. You're going to find that on Top Step X. Top Step X. Yeah. CS1. This is going to be ZS1, a 15-minute confirmation market execution sell. The risk to reward ratio is 3.30. Take profit is going to be 1,002.40. It's going to be for 33 pips. Stop loss is going to be 1,013.20. That's going to be for 10 pips. And entry price is going to be 1,010.6. And here's going to be your first call of the night. ZS1. $15-minute confirmation, market execution sell, entry price 1010.60, stop loss 1013.20 for 10 pips. Take profit is going to be 1002.4 for 33 pips and a risk to reward ratio of 3.30. Also tonight, I want to thank 3 separate audiences for joining us. We are live on YouTube, on Twitch, and Nemo TV tonight. CS1. Next up, we have ZF1. This hit stop loss. This trade is invalidated. We have Bake versus Tether. That hit stop loss. This trade is invalidated. We have the Great British Pound Sterling versus the Swiss franc. This trade is still active. I'm going to take this on a sell to 1.06794. And Great British Pound versus the Swiss franc is a minor foreign currency pair. You will find this of both liquid brokers and LHFX. If you don't have those brokers, if you click on the description to this particular video and scroll down, you will see the link to both brokers. Let's go ahead and correct this just a little bit. Let's grab the parameters for this bad boy. And it's going to be the Great British Pound versus the Swiss franc, GBP, CHF. This is a 30-minute confirmation. Market execution sell. With a risk reward ratio of 3.70. The take profit is going to be 1.06794. Oops. Let's run and close my screen. $30 minutes. So 1.06794. It's going to be for 72 pips. Your stop loss is going to be 1.07706. And that's going to be for 19 pips. Oh, my stomach. And then your entry price is going to be 1.07512. 1.07512. And here's your next call of the night. The Great British Pound versus the Swiss franc. 30-minute confirmation. Market execution sale. Entry price is 1.07512. Stop loss is 1.07706 for 19 pips. Take profit is 1.06794 for 72 pips. And a risk to reward ratio of 3.70. And moving on, we have Litecoin versus the US dollar. That trade hit stop loss. This trade is invalidated. We have Injunctive versus Tether. That trade hit stop loss, so this trade is invalidated. We have HO1, which is a future. It's hit stop loss, so that trade is invalidated. We have the ZL1 on the 30-minute confirmation. That trade actually hit take profit, so that trade is already done. We have Katie versus Tether. This trade is still active, and we can take it. This will be a sell to 0.0735. It's going to be a cryptocurrency perpetual trade. You will find this pair on liquid brokers. It's going to be a sell from current price. Give ourselves more room on the stop. And CATI, USTD, Katie versus Tether. This is a 15-minute confirmation market execution sell with a risk to reward ratio of 3.74. The take profit is 0.0735. It's going to be for 86 pips. Your stop loss is going to be 0.0844. That's going to be for 23 pips. And your entry price is going to be 0.0821. Here's your next call of the night. KD versus Tether, CATI, USDT. 15-minute confirmation, market execution sell. Entry price is 0.0821. Stop loss is 0.0844 for 23 pips. Take profit is 0.0735 for 86 pips, and a risk to reward ratio of 3.74. Moving on, we have Pendle versus Tether. Pendle versus Tether. It's going to be a sell to 4.166. 4.166. It's going to be a sell from current price. This is a crypto perpetual trade. You will find it on liquid brokers. This is going to be a 15-minute confirmation, market execution sale, PENDLE USDT, Pendle versus Tether. Risk reward ratio is 3.85. Your take profit is going to be 4.166. That's going to be for 281 pips. Your stop loss is going to be 4.520. 4.50 be for 73 pips. And your entry price is going to be 4.447. And here's your next call of the night. Pendle versus Tether, PENDLE USDT. 15-minute confirmation, market execution sell. Entry price is 4.447. Stop loss is 4.520 for 73 pips. Take profit is 4.166 for 281 pips, and a risk to reward ratio of 3.85. Next up, it's going to be IP versus Tether, IP versus Tether. This is going to be a buy to 5.919. 5.919. It's going to be a long position from current price. 5.919. Going to shorten that stop just a little bit. And IP versus Tether is a cryptocurrency perpetual trade. You will find this on liquid brokers. And IP USDT. This is a 15-minute confirmation, market execution buy. The risk to reward ratio is 2.46. Your take profit is going to be 5.919. That is for 234 pips. Stop loss is going to be 5.590. That's going to be for 95 pips. And entry price is going to be 5.685. Here's your next call of the night. IP USDT, 15-minute confirmation, market execution buy. Your entry price is 5.685. Stop loss is 5.590 for 95 pips. Take profit is 5.919 for 234 pips, and a risk to reward ratio of 2.46. And we've already called out Pendle. With that, we are caught up for the evening. The next time that we have the opportunity to enter the market will be at 2:30 in the morning. It's around 7.5 minutes from now. 2:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Let's go ahead and get our original list kind of cleaned up here. We have one future. We have one foreign currency minor pair, and we have 3 cryptocurrency protocols. It looks like one of those is already in profit. That is Katie versus Tether. Let's check and see if we have anything else that may have hit and take profit since we got started. The answer is no. In terms of profit, top position take profit is France 40. So switch to looking at that. Been in this trade, I believe, since July the 18th. Keeps going up and down. Eventually, it's going to hit take profit. It's been a steady burn towards take profit. Got close way over here, which was last Wednesday. Had a little bit of retracement, slowly working its way up. At this pace, this will probably hit take profit sometime early next week. There we are. But we have a little bit of time. What we'll do is go ahead and switch over to reviewing the news. As always, let's start with Forex Factory. A lot of minor news items, but a crap ton of major news. So let's get to that. So at 3 a.m., it's a little less than 30 minutes from now, we have the release of quarter-over-quarter GDP for Germany. At 7:15 a.m., this is 15 minutes before the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange, we have the drop of ADP non-farm employment change. That's a pretty major metric for the U.S. economy. And then right at the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange at 7:30 a.m., we have the drop of the advanced gross domestic product quarter over quarter, the growth of the U.S. economy since Q2 versus Q1. This is a pretty major metric for us. It is expected that the economy grew at 2.5%. I actually think it probably is going to come in a little bit higher than that and overperform the forecast. And if that's the case, you're going to have a major rally of the U.S. dollar. A major rally of the U.S. dollar, which means that Tether would actually decline in value, which means we may have a rally in the cryptocurrency market. We'll see how that adds itself up. At 8:45 a.m., we have the drop of the rate statement by the Bank of Canada. At 1 p.m., this is right after the lunch hour for the New York Stock Exchange, we have the drop of the short-term interest rate by the U.S. Federal Reserve. That announcement is going to cause a great deal of volume and volatility, which means trades are going to be hitting take profit left and right. Right after that, we have a press conference by the Federal Open Market Committee, probably including comments by Chairman Jerome Powell. He's normally the one that gives the press conference. And then later that evening, we have a policy rate decision by the Bank of Japan. All three of those, the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, and the Japanese yen, are expected to stand pat on interest rates. And because these are forecasted and already baked into price, you're probably going to see some reaction every time one of these announcements are dropped. So it's going to be a very, very fast day, beginning pretty much at 7:30 a.m. So hold on to your pants a little bit. Sorry for those of you who have been trading with me for a while. A lot of the trade book is going to clear itself out. I do call trades 24/7. If you're interested in joining Project Genesis, which is my private trade group, click on the link or click on my profile. The very first link is to Telegram. That's the link to the group. It's free of charge, not behind any sort of paywall, and you'll get all of the action for the day as we kind of navigate this deluge of major news drops. We have less of this tomorrow, but today is that day. It's going to be really fun. Let's check on futures. Slightly negative on the US 30, slightly positive on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. So it isn't quite clear what we're going to get out of those opportunities. Again, I would expect virtually no movement on any of these indices in the United States until the drop of some of that major U.S. news, particularly the rate decision at 1 p.m. So don't expect much to move. heck is going on my screen? There we go. All right. We have the same thing on the France 40, the UK 100, and the German 30. We have the same thing on the Japanese Nikkei 225. So looks like the entirety of the world's major markets are at a standstill while we await major news on the US dollar, and that's to be expected. All right, got a little less than 10 seconds left to the half of the hour. Let's see what we end up getting in terms of trade opportunities. All right, it's 2:30. It's going to take about 2 to 3 minutes for trading me to get through all 328 assets that we do trade on the 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, and daily time frames. We'll be on this 15-minute pacing for the remainder of the live session. The only exception to that rule is going to be futures. The futures market is on a 10-minute time delay from the rest of the markets. All right, so in the idea or in the event that we have a rally on the US dollar, it means that Tether is going to weaken, and we could get Bitcoin at 121,667 today. So that being said, let's take a look at the DXY. Which just crossed into an upward trend. We have any fair value gaps. We have support, so we may get some bounce here and a further climb up. Let's back out to the daily and see what we're looking at. Definitely a lot of room to go. So rather the US dollar could get as high as 101.671. The first time we've been over $1 per dollar in a while. Let's take a look at the United States dollar versus Tether. Complete consolidation, like it's just not moving. So the market is completely aware of news coming on the US dollar. We'll see whether we get a continuation of this downtrend. Again, this is propelled by a pretty major rally of the US dollar. That's a nice significant drop. Again, strength of the US dollar means weaker tether. Weaker tether means crypto perpetuals and cryptocurrencies go up in value. So it might hit spot cryptocurrencies, perpetual cryptocurrencies would actually increase in value. Most of the market is red. Bitcoin's just not moving right now. Looks like we have a trap of price action underneath a fair value gap at 118,370 and a very small area of support at 118,226. So pretty small gap of movement. Nothing to be too excited about. At any rate, we've got 8.5 minutes left to 2:45 in the morning. That's the next time we have opportunities to enter the market on a buy and sell basis. We'll drill down to see whether or not we're going to get into those trades. It's a great time for you to go ahead and grab some water, grab a snack, use the restroom if you need to, stretch those legs. We're in for an interesting evening. For those of you that do join us over from the motherland, I am planning a pretty major trip for next summer to Nigeria, where we'll be putting on an in-person training and conference on cryptocurrency and Forex trading. So you can look forward to that. And I may add 2 other countries, one in Europe and one in Asia as well. Just have not decided on the destination just yet. But for Asia, I'm probably leaning towards India or Pakistan, one or the other. And then for Europe, likely the UK. Oh, For the United States, we are in the midst of the passage of two other bills on cryptocurrency. Both of those are stuck in the U.S. Senate right now before signature by the president. One of the three bills has already been signed into law. That's the Genius Act. So I'm going to be working on a couple of videos, one on each one of those to drop on YouTube and on the podcast to discuss each one of those major acts of legislation and what they do. I'm sure there'll be more, but this is a start. For the one that did pass, it's called the U.S. Genius Act. It stands for Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins. It covers legislative status, the scope, the purpose, and key provisions and impact and significance of stablecoins in the United States. Sponsored by Senator Bill Hagerty out of Tennessee back in May of this year. It passed the Senate with a bipartisan support of 68 to 30 senators and was signed into law by President Trump on July the 18th, 2025. Essentially, it establishes the first federal regulatory framework governing payment stablecoins in the United States. It defines a stablecoin as a crypto asset redeemable at a fixed value and intended for use in payments and settlements, not treated as a deposit, security, or national currency under federal law. So it was not raised to the level of being fiat currency, but can be used to settle debts or to buy things. It does aim to promote innovation, consumer protection, financial stability, and to assert the U.S. leadership in digital payment infrastructure. Some key provisions. First, it focused on permitted issuers. Specifically, only permitted payment stablecoin issuers may issue stablecoins in the United States, including subsidiaries of issued depository institutions, basically subsidiaries of banks, federal qualified non-bank issuers approved by the OCC. So that would be things like Coinbase, things like that, Kraken, a few other US-based brokers, and state qualified issues under a certified state regime if the insurance is less than $10 billion. You also have public non-financial companies generally barred from issuing stablecoins unless unanimously approved by the Stable Certification Review Committee. So what it essentially did is it prevents private companies themselves from issuing stablecoins, but it empowers banks and other financial institutions and brokers' houses for issuing these stablecoins for sale. It did establish reserve and operational standards. So stablecoins have to be backed one-to-one with US dollars or specified low-risk assets like short-term treasuries. So essentially what it's done is it's provided another means by which the United States can support the US dollar, which I always thought was a smart move, considering the fact that there is a little bit of weakness in the US bond markets, mostly because our debt is so high. So if you basically legitimize stablecoins, you provide a separate leg to support the US dollar. I think it was a brilliant move. There's no interest or yield allowed on stablecoin holdings, so you can't stake on them anymore. It's only redemption is at face value. The PPSIs are subject to capital, liquidity, risk management, anti-money laundering, audit reporting, and sanctions compliance rules. which means that the stable coins are subject to the same sort of scrutiny as other assets held by bank and brokerage institutions. And issuers have to support technical compliance with lawful orders. So if they're ordered, for instance, to freeze or burn a certain amount of stablecoins, then they have to do it. They can't just go off willy-nilly doing things on their own. It does deal a little bit with foreign issuers and state preemption, which is always important here in the United States, particularly because you have knuckleheads like Texas, where I live, California, and Florida. Foreign issuers can offer stablecoins to United States persons if domiciled in a comparable jurisdiction. So in other words, if you're a foreign company, then you can sell U.S. stablecoins to U.S. citizens and U.S. permanent residents, so long as you have a company that's incorporated here in the United States and therefore subject to the laws of the United States. You can't be a foreign issuer or broker selling U.S. stablecoins to U.S. citizens and U.S. permanent residents from a foreign corporation. And I knew they were going to do this, and I think it was very important for them to do so. It does provide federal preemption over state licensing requirements. So in other words, in the United States, we have a layer of different laws. There's federal, state, and municipal. We call it local level. It's basically asserting that this law is the law of the land. And you can basically ignore what states are doing in terms of their prior efforts to regulate stablecoins. This is the law, point blank, period. Now, this does not take effect immediately. It takes effect either 18 months after the signature, that will be January the 18th, 2017, or 120 days after federal regulations are issued, either or. So it could be sooner than January the 18th, 2027. I suspect that it won't, because federal agencies move very slow with issuing regulation, because they're required to go through a process of letting the public come in and make commentary, to give suggestions before these regulations are passed. And then there's an entire lobbying effort that goes along with this as well. So this does represent a major milestone for us in the United States. It's the first major federal stablecoin law. It does aim to kind of increase trust, to spur financial innovation, to support the United States dollar, and to empower the U.S. Treasury to mandate reserve holdings in treasuries. It clarifies regulatory roles, so essentially most power revolving stablecoins resolves in the OCC in the United States, rather than placing oversight under the SEC or the CFTC, which I think is great, because the SEC and the CFTC have been trying to assert control over the cryptocurrency market in the United States for years. Both are power hungry, probably with the SEC being the more litigious of the two, by trying to claim that U.S. security, that cryptocurrencies are securities, which they aren't. They also aren't necessarily commodities either. I mean, it's an entirely different class of assets. So that's the gist there. Let's see where we're at. 248. No new trades have come out. So our next time to enter the market will be at 3 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be 11 minutes from now. So I'm going to step away real quick. I need to go use the restroom. I'll be back. Right, so we got a little under 3 minutes left to go. To the top of the hour, 3 a.m. in the morning, we have a slight retracement on Bitcoin versus Tether. Nothing to be really concerned about. It's just above the high of the Asian session. We'll see what we end up getting going forward. I do expect Bitcoin to fall into negative category territory sometime during the day and fall in consolidation, but it remains to be seen what the US dollar is going to do. We'll know this afternoon. It's pretty much going to predicate what the entire rest of the week looks like for us in terms of trading. Do things are going to be dreadfully slow, or things are going to be so fast moving that it's going to be hard to keep up? I'm hoping that it's the latter. Means we make more money and have more opportunities to enter the market. Right, here we go. It's 3 a.m. Again, it's going to take the trading view about 2 to 3 minutes to get through all 328 assets that we do trade and see where we end up in terms of the market. Just give it time to kind of flesh itself out. I stupidly decided there was going to be a great idea to have fried chicken for dinner last night, and I haven't had fried food at all in probably 7 months. And my stomach is doing Enter the Dragon right now. It's bad. Hopefully, it doesn't keep me up after we're done for the night because I really would like to get some sleep. Definitely won't be doing this to myself again. And it's 3 minutes after the hour, so nothing for 3 a.m. Our next entry into the market will be at 3:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's a little under 12 minutes. Looks like the German market did take a bit of a hit quarter over quarter. That literally just got announced. So we should be seeing some movement on Great British pound pairs going forward today. Going to take a little bit of time to have a little bit of effect at the market. But we did take a trade on Great British pound versus Swiss franc tonight. So I guess we can check in on that and see how it's doing. Basically has not moved, but that is a massively solid downtrend. That's going to intake profit. Oh, wow. Looks like there's a pretty powerful earthquake that could cause a tsunami for Hawaii. 6.00. You guys who have family that you might want to check in on them. Anywhere in the South Pacific, the Hawaii, the Philippines, Japan, Guam, all those could be areas that are affected by this. All right. Approaching 5 minutes left to go at 3:15 in the morning, the quarter of the hour. I do see a little bit of accelerated movement across the markets because of the announcement of news on the Great British Pound. It's always nice to see. We did take a look at futures earlier on the US 30, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ 100. Everything seemed to be flat. However, in the last 30 minutes, looks like we do have a positive turn in the US markets, which means there's going to be a lot more money flowing into the markets beginning at the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange at 7:30 a.m. So kind of plays into our narrative that we're going to have an incredibly fast day today of trading. Maybe not in the live session tonight, but certainly later this morning. It's going to be jumping. Still think it's going to be a little bit slow until we get the formal announcement by the U.S. Federal Reserve on the rate decision at 1 p.m. this afternoon. But it's going to be a monster day for trading. Holy crap. I don't really look at this thing all this often, but that is nuts. So it looks like after the live, I'm going to be selling my stake in Grok coin and re-entering. I'll show this to you guys because this is pretty neat. I bought this at 2.4 cents per share. It's at $9.18. I made $74,825.16 off of this today. So I'm going to go ahead and take my profit. It's going to fall again, and I'll just re-enter at a lower price. But that's a pretty nice thing to work up to. Not necessarily financial advice, but if you're looking for altcoins that are really going to do well, you need to be looking at anything that is built on aerodrome finance. This is where most of the most profitable coins are going to be. It's under the Ethereum umbrella, but it's 2 layers down. So we get a lot of action, just like I said that we would. Here's where you need to go to research those coins. I'm actually going to drop the link for you guys. It's Aerodrome Finance. This is the website. So you can go here. You scroll down, you can actually research all the different coins that you can get. It's going to list all of the coins that are under Aerodrome Finance. There's a lot of them. These bad boys are going to be kicking butt and taking names this cycle. And yes, Doge is on here too. So goes on and on. I believe there's 184 active coins on this particular protocol, but they're very stable. If you know anything about the Bitcoin cycle, then you understand that Ethereum coins always outperform Bitcoin related issues by a significant margin every 4 years. It's not even close. All right, so it looks like we've got 4 new trades. Let's take a look at these. We have the euro versus the United States dollar. This is going to be a sell to 1.15134. Going to be a short position from current price. Shorten that stop just a little bit. This is a major Forex pair. You're going to find this on Liquid Brokers and LHFX. And this is the euro versus the United States dollar, EUR, USD. It's a 15-minute confirmation, market execution sell. The risk to reward ratio is 3.32. Your take profit is going to be 1.5134. 1.15134. It's going to be for 38 pips. Your take profit, your stop loss is going to be at 1.15631. And that is for 12 pips. And entry price is going to be at 1.15516. Here's your next call of the night. The euro versus the United States dollar. A 15-minute confirmation. Market execution sell. Entry price is 1.15516. Stop loss is 1.15631 for 12 pips. Take profit is 1.15134 for 38 pips, and a risk to reward ratio of 3.32. Next up is going to be the euro versus the Hong Kong dollar. This is an exotic cryptocurrency. An exotic foreign currency. You're going to find this on both liquid brokers and LHFX. There's going to be a sell to 9.03845. Such issues tonight. There we go. It's going to be a short from current price. Let's short up this stop just a wee bit. And this is going to be the euro versus the Hong Kong dollar, EUR HKD. This is a 15-minute confirmation market execution sell with a risk to reward ratio of 2.97. Your take profit is going to be 9.03845. That's going to be for 293 pips. Your stop loss is going to be 9.07760. It's going to be for 99 pips. Your entry price is going to be 9.06773. Here's your next call of the night. The euro versus the Hong Kong dollar, EUR HKD. 15-minute confirmation, market execution sell. Entry price is 9.06773. Stop loss is 9.07760 for 99 pips. Take profit is 9.03845 for 293 pips, and a risk to reward ratio of 2.97. Moving on, we have the United States dollar versus the Danish krone. This is going to be a buy to 6.47959. It's going to be a long from current price. And this is a exotic pair. You'll find this on liquid brokers and LHFX. United States dollar versus Danish krone, USD DKK. This is a 15-minute confirmation of market execution buy Your risk to reward ratio is going to be 2.66. Your take profit is going to be 6.47959. That's going to be for 200 pips. Stop loss is going to be 6.4521. 6.4521. That's going to be for 75 pips. Matter of fact, it just gave us a better position, so let's take that. Increases our risk to reward to 2.78. The trade to 209 pips. It's still retreating. Okay. Give me a second, Peter, and I'll answer that question for you. Your stop loss is going to be 6.45010. This will be for 75 pips. Your entry price is going to be 6.45761. And here's your next call, USD DKK, 15-minute confirmation, a market execution buy. Entry price is 6.45671. Stop loss is 6.45010 for 75 pips. Take profit is 6.47959 for 220 pips. Risk reward ratio is 2.93. And we have the Great British Pound versus the New Zealand dollar that actually hit stop loss, so we won't be re-entering that trade. We're actually already in it. With that, we are caught up for the evening. Got a new slate of calls possibly coming in less than 3 minutes at 3:30 Central Standard Time. Now, Peter, to address your question. You are asking, how can you have an alert and straight away you see PKTP level? Can't get my head around it. I got an alert, but I will see TP after first 15 minutes. Candle close, not straight away. What am I missing? Okay, so on the tool, when you see the alert, and let's go to one that we just did, like USDDKK. The candle is already closed. You don't have to wait another 15 minutes for another close. The moment you see that markup, the candle has closed, that take profit is valid if you have AGB or BGA. You don't have to wait. That's what you're missing. You're thinking you see the trade, and now you got to wait another time frame to get into the trade. No, you can enter the trade immediately. And ideally, what you want to see on a buy is you want price to retrace. You want price to come towards you. When it does that, it does what we call a Patrick push. In other words, you might have a valid signal because the real take profit is way up here, or the real entry price. But we entered down here. So we actually caught 20 extra pips for being patient enough to wait for price to come to us. So instead of this being 20 pips in the stop loss territory, we're already in profit on that trade while increasing our risk to reward ratio. So that's the approach that you take. If you're looking for a buy opportunity, you want price to sell off and come to you. If you're looking for a sell opportunity, you want price to go up so that you can take it for a bigger trade down. It also gives you the opportunities that on a pretty decent amount of occasions, even if a trade, it gives you the opportunity to reverse in the opposite direction because you know the direction of the trade. You can identify whether we're in an uptrend or a downtrend. Just give us another alert on United States dollar versus Israeli shekels. Here's another opportunity to enter the market. That is a solid uptrend. It's going to be a buy to 3.38791. It's going to be a long position from current price. And see right there, price came back down to us. Guess what? That gives us better risk to reward ratio. It's always what you want to see. So we just caught that. We're going to 3.38791. Going to give ourselves more room on the stop. And voila, you got your trade. It really is that quick and simple. And this is US dollar versus the Israeli shekel. This is an exotic foreign currency pair. You will find this on both liquid brokers and LHFFs. USD ILS, this is a 15-minute confirmation, a market execution buy with a 3.84 risk to reward ratio. Your take profit is going to be 3.38791. You're welcome, Peter. That's going to be for 215 pips. Your stop loss is going to be 3.36087. That's going to be for 56 pips. And your entry price is going to be at 3.36646. Here's your next call of the night. The United States dollar versus the Israeli shekel, USD ILS, a 15-minute confirmation, market execution buy. Entry price is 3.36646. Stop loss is going to be at 3.36084 for 56 pips. Take profit is going to be at 3.38791 for 215 pips. The risk reward ratio is 3.84. Still going to track the France 40 on the 4-hour as we continue to await additional trades. 3:33, our next opportunity in the market is going to be at 3:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's a little over 11 minutes from now. After that, we'll have one more time to get into the market at 4 a.m. Central Standard Time, at which time we normally end the live. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, we wait. 7 minutes. 7 minutes left to go to the quarter of the hour. 3:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. I want to give a shout out to our audience joining us from Southeast Asia on both Nemo TV and Huya. Welcome to the stream. Four minutes. 4 minutes left to go to the quarter of the hour. 3:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right, it's now 3:45 a.m. TradingView is going to go through the 328 assets that we do trade and give us some opportunities on a buy or sell basis. Did a quick markup on Bitcoin versus Tether on the 4 hour, picked out breakout points to the buy side and the sell side. And just based off my analysis, it looks like all of the indicators are screaming out a higher scenario of the drop of price in cryptocurrency, which is associated with a narrative that the US dollar will rally. Actually, the US dollar will weaken. Tether will gather in strength and then pull the price of Bitcoin down to possibly 115, 189, or as low as 114, 101. So we might get a $3,000 drop in Bitcoin today. And that's if market sentiment holds. It's more likely we get the drop than we get the rally up. If we get the rally up, we could get as close to the all-time high as 122,649. But that would take the exact opposite effect on the US dollar for Tether to give us what we need there. We would need a serious rally in the US dollar and weakness in Tether for Bitcoin to rally that hard. And I think that's unlikely. I think the announcement of the Federal Reserve is going to weaken the United States dollar because it's a signal they're not going to pump more money into the economy, which means that nothing's going to change for people that are currently struggling here. Which means we can look forward to future metrics on the US dollar being pretty abysmal, including weak sales on bond issuance by the US Treasury. That's why it's really important the timing of passing at least the Genius Act, which provides the opportunity for banks and for other brokerage institutions to sell stable coins in lieu of US Treasuries, which are still backed by the US dollar and said US Treasuries. Been saying for years they needed to do that to help prop up the value of the dollar. So isn't as great as being on the gold standard, which we used to have into the 1850s, but it's better than just floating on the market. Right, about 11 minutes left to go to the top of the hour. 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. This purple box that I drew is basically the trapping of price action on the 4-hour time frame. So what I did is I basically brought up where the fair value gaps are on the top and bottom of price. This is where price is trapped in that zone. And if you look to the left, see most of the action since those areas were established during those areas, with the exception of a few drops to the bottom, another indicator that it's more likely that price will drop than rise. Not to mention the fact that is a pretty significant fair value gap serving as resistance, and the support is extremely weak. And it just so happens our first area is right on top of this next support area. And it's been there before. It's basically the gist of the analysis. Now we can take this same analysis and we could drop down a time frame or even up in time frame and start to see what that looks like. So we are evaluating based off the 15-minute. And voila, we're stuck straight smack in the middle of this area. By the way, if you do have TradingView, which I encourage you to get, even if it's a free account, and you want to keep up with the list of our current trades, here's the link to that. If you click down on that, what it's going to do is bring up all the current trades with all the chart markups for you. That way you don't have to do them yourself. And you can see where we are on our positions. In addition to that, if you're interested in joining Project Genesis, which is my private trading group, again, it's free of charge. You're going to want to be around today, certainly, because it's going to be a really interesting morning and afternoon in the trading world. Here's the link to that. Now, this is Telegram. So if you're on a mobile device, you'll have to download the Telegram app. When you do, it's going to ask you to set up two-factor authentication with your phone number, just to make sure that people can't get access to your information or to your groups that you have access to. If you're on the internet, which means you're basically on a desktop, a laptop, or a tablet, you don't have to download Telegram as an app because it's web-based. You're still going to have to do two-factor authentication with your phone number, but that's going to get you direct access to the group. That's going to have all the signal calls that I call 24/7 across all the markets, in addition to the signals chat. Also have the opportunity to ask me direct questions or to DM me directly during the day if you want me to opine on certain positions that you may be looking at or stuck in counter to what we're currently trading. Don't mind doing that stuff at all. So we're currently working our way towards 4 a.m. in the morning, Central Standard Time. That's the top of the hour. It's an area of confluence, which means that we have possible opportunities on the 15-minute, the 30-minute, the 1 hour, and the 4-hour time frame, all at the same time. So that'll be our last ticker for the night. Should get a nice little deluge of things. If not, then the market's going to be pretty quiet until 7:15 in the morning. It's a couple of hours from now. We have ADP non-farm payroll employment change. And then 30 minutes later, when we start to get other major news on the United States dollar. But expect things to be relatively quiet um, until 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's when the U.S. Federal Reserve announces its interest rate decision on a short-term basis, where they're not expected to move from a short-term interest rate of 2.75%. That's going to send the markets flying. So buckle up, put your Pampers on, whatever you need to do to kind of shoulder the weight of trades moving very, very fast. It's going to be pretty remarkable. So I'll certainly be in front of the chart around that time. And we'll make sure I will not be napping. Three and a half minutes left to go to the top of the hour. All right, got about 10 seconds left to go to 4 a.m. Let's see what we end up getting. Again, it's going to take TradingView about 2 to 3 minutes to get through the 328 assets that we do trade on the 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour time frames. If we don't get anything by around 4:03, we'll call it a night. I have been the Pit Messiah, your host for the Quiet Storm live trading session for July the 30th, 2025. If you have found value in the stream, I do encourage you to smash that like button, to subscribe to the channel, and to turn on notifications to keep abreast of when we do go live in the market. The Quiet Storm live trading sessions are held every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 a.m. Central Standard Time. We are multicasting right now, and tonight we're on YouTube, Twitch, Nemo TV, Spotify, and Apple TV. So welcome to all of you across the planet that are viewing tonight, particularly a very large presence. See around 62,000 people in Southeast Asia. That's pretty cool. Do have some people in Africa. See a few viewers from Nigeria, a couple from Kenya. Welcome to the stream. And for those of you here in the United States in the West that frequent the stream, welcome as well. All right, about 1 more minute of clearance. Looks like we might end up a little quiet tonight. So I'm going to have to ban someone for being a little bit of a troll on Twitch. Have a good flight, brother. All right, and with that, we are done for the evening. I will see you guys at 2 a.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. For those of you who have joined Project Genesis, I'll see you there for 24/7 signal calls. We have a very busy day today based off of major news on both the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, and the Japanese yen, all of which will be announcing short-term interest rate decisions today and this evening. Cheers.